Welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365. It's officially a football week. Here is the Eagles report to training camp tomorrow. J-Mac, they're on the football field on Wednesday, and we're 45 days away from the season and opener. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, brother?
Gearing up. It's anxiety season. Yeah, started training camp. Reigning Super Bowl champs will report tomorrow, be on the field Wednesday morning, and it's almost, pseudo football. Can't put the pads on yet, but almost pseudo football.
Yeah, no doubt about it. How was your final weekend? I got some good stories from the weekend I'd like to share. Anything you got into, Johnny Mac, on your final weekend of freedom?
No freedom. Mine has already started up. Too much preparation, but no. No.
So I was down at the NASCAR event, Johnny Mac, with garage and pit access, baby, with my boy Gary, one of our great supporters here on JAKIB. I think I saw Gary in the chat already today. Let me look for him. Where is he?
Yeah, Jeff Kerr was supposed to be there, but he didn't.
I got to talk to him. Well, Jeff will be on the show a little later on. But Dirty Air, this is Gary. He checks in and says, saw the rings yesterday with my own eyes. Huge. They are huge. So Big Don was there. N'Kobe Dean was there. Jahad Campbell was there. There's a couple other Eagles in attendance yesterday for the NASCAR. But unbelievable event, John. And I just wanted to publicly thank my boy Gary for sending me and my brother out to that. It was super cool. Super good access. I love cars, John. So I'm up close with these crazy cars, and watched the event actually right behind the team operator, basically. They got all the screens in front of them, and they're looking at all the data and the engineering. So it was a really cool experience for me as my final weekend until the season kicks off, Johnny Mac. So I had a good weekend, bro.
Glad to see you have fun. Now, Jeff was supposed to go. Martin Frank was there. Mr. Delaware, so he was there, and he took a picture of Jeff Kerr's credential, which evidently was not picked up. So we'll have to get that explanation from Jeff.
Yeah, we'll have to look at that. Good stuff there. Speaking of the rings, before we get into our training camp talk, we'll talk to Jeff Kerr later on today. But John, the Eagles got their rings on Friday night in what was a upper class ceremony for the team. Looked pretty awesome, the event. I think it was at some place called the Ballers.
Ballers at the Battery.
Ballers at the Battery. That's where it was. So, John, what do you think of the rings, man? You had some thoughts pre-show. Those are some big rings, Johnny Mac.
Jake Elliott's the one. It's interesting you mentioned Gary's got to see them up close. So that means that Big Dom or N'Kobe or Jihad had them. So I'm like,
Big Dom, I think, at least Big Dom, because I saw it on Big Dom as well.
Yeah. I mean, look, they're beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but who's wearing that thing on a daily basis? Like, if I win a championship back in the old days, and again, I'm old, you put on the damn ring and you wear it everywhere and you're proud. Who's wearing that thing on a daily basis? I mean, basically, I joked, I wrote about, Andre the Giant sized hands with armed security because all the bling on there. You got to worry about that. Dom's not worried about that, but the average person's got to worry about that. So they're beautiful, all that kind of stuff, but man, they're big. And it's like, it's more like a trophy. So just put it up on your mantle and be done with it. So yeah, I mean, it's great for the fans, and the Eagles are having a sweepstakes, and somebody can win an exact replica with their name on it. That's the real McCoy, so to speak, to raise funds for their autism foundation. So all that stuff is good, and this is just the nature of it. You always want to outdo yourself. But guys who have two, like Jake Elliott and Rick Lovato and people like that, they had them both on, and the difference in size is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm like,
they're like double, John. Big Dom had both on, yeah.
To me, it's like a trophy more than a ring, which is fine, But hey, Big Dom had it out. He's close to on.
Yeah, Big Dom was rocking it. It was a pretty sick looking ring. The event looked pretty awesome too for the team. AJ was all fired up. You could tell Jalen was happy. Jalen didn't put his on, John. Any truth to the conspiracies that Jalen is not putting it on because he is hungry for more, or is he in the Johnny Mac camp of this thing is a trophy? I'm not putting this thing on.
Well, I haven't talked to him yet. I'll talk to him this week at some point. I'm sure he'll get asked that goofy question. It'll be a TV question, but I don't know. I saw a picture of him with the ring. I don't know if that was his old ring. I wasn't paying that much attention. I looked at it real quick, but maybe it was his old ring. I don't know. If he's got that mentality, great. But he's also very savvy, PR savvy. So that's what he wants out there. And he wants to win. That doesn't change. But to me, not putting on the ring is not all that meaningful other than, for a number of reasons. Pretty ostentatious. Maybe, maybe he just doesn't want to wear it outside.
People do love that stuff. Look, here's a look at the difference in the two. Gary just sent me this. So Dirty Air sends this. This is the picture he got yesterday. I think that's Big Dom there with his nice watch on. Yeah, that's basically double, John. That is basically double.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles sent out all the info a lot. That to me, that's the coolest part because the guy they didn't the first one, they Jostens made it, which is everybody probably knows from their freaking high school or college class rings or whatever. I mean, they've been doing rings forever. This was from Jason in Beverly Hills. That's what he calls his business. So they went all out. And to me, like there's interesting sort of nuggets. Like there's 145 diamonds, which celebrate the points scored in the playoffs, which is, an NFL postseason record, things like that. The world champions, 40 points of diamonds, which is the 40 points in the Super Bowl. So stuff like that to me is cool to honor because it's you put on stuff that means something to what was accomplished.
Exactly. The Eagles put out like a little infographic with that where they had it's all in the details.
Yeah. So, all the details are very thought about. It's amazing that, they can make things like this. Jason, forget his last name. I'll look it up, but so all that kudos, but damn that thing. It's like, you're not wearing that around. I mean, the old guys, some of the Steelers, those guys had they put those rigs on. They didn't take them off. You couldn't win as many as they won, but you get the point. And it was more to me. That means more, but whatever. It's cool. It's expensive and it's worth something. So,
no doubt about it. Jeffrey Lurie definitely balled out.
I mean, that's one of the things. And you mentioned the battery, ballers at the battery, which by the way, Malcolm Jenkins partially financed that. Tyrese Maxey partially financed that. But, I couldn't talk about that last week because of security. They were concerned about security. People know you're getting these Super Bowl rings. People know what they are.
Right.
So they didn't want it out in the public, which I understood.
Yeah, absolutely.
So couldn't talk about it from that standpoint. But, if you're wearing that thing out, people still know. They know about the 145 diamonds and all this stuff. So anyway, very big. Very big was my reaction.
Yeah, well, it is very big. I got one more question on the ring, and I want everybody in the chat to partake as well. And if you're watching after the show or listening on the podcast, comment somewhere because I gotta get the responses on these. I have a feeling they're all going to go one way, but I did hear something from my boy Gary yesterday, and I'm like, wait a second, I gotta ask that question. John, I'll ask you, and everybody in the chat, you can answer as well. Do you like the wings feature? The expanding wings that says then once they expand under it, it says you can't be great without the greatness of others.
I like the inscription. I don't like the expanding wings. No, I don't. Like if you're talking, no, why? It's goopy. No. Does
I didn't think
anybody
you would
know
like
me
it.
who think I would like the
No, I
expanded
didn't think
wings?
you would like it at all. I didn't think you would like it, but I'm thinking, I'm listening to my boys.
I'm sure the fans love it.
Yeah, well, some do. Well, listen, Gary said to me yesterday, he's like, I don't know, was it a little tacky? And I'm like, it's not a bad take. The one thing I would say about it would be, is it chintzy? Like, you know how, John, you hate gimmicks? It's like you get this big championship ring. Is that thing going to be broken in 10 years?
No,
like, I don't know.
That's the first thing I thought about.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Like if you start pushing that button 100 times a day, is it going to break? And then all of a sudden you got to send it back to Jason in Beverly Hills and get it fixed. And yeah, I'm with Gary. If he called it tacky, good. That's a better word. I didn't want to go that far, but it is pretty tacky. Yeah. But again, is it real? It's jewelry, but it's not really jewelry. It's obviously it's not made for consistent wearing. It's more of a trophy. So if you look at it as a trophy, it's pretty cool. If you want to wear it out to dinner, it's ostentatious and tacky and all that stuff.
It is the cool ring, though. I do like it. I just wanted to run that question by everybody. I appreciate everybody for being here, by the way. The Eagles season is here, baby. All right, so we're on the Birds Report tomorrow. They have their first practice of training camp on Wednesday, and then we are 45 days out, everybody, from the home opener for the Philadelphia Eagles. They are kicking off the NFL season, obviously, as they won the Super Bowl, as we just talked about with the ring. So they will be the first game of the year, taking on the Dallas Cowboys at home in 45 days from now. John, with camp kicking off, the players reporting tomorrow, what's on your mind as we head into training camp? We're going to talk to Jeff Kerr. We'll break down some of the camp battles, some of the things coming up. I got one sleeper battle I don't think we've talked about enough that I want to discuss. But your thoughts as we come into training camp on this week?
Yeah, I kind of gave my final thought, and I wrote about it over the weekend. And part of it was highlighted by the ring ceremony, which was supposed to be in June, right before the end of minicamp, but they had to push it back because the rings weren't done. And now that you've seen the rings, you know why the rings weren't done on time. So I thought it was more of a demarcation line this time to do it Friday before training camp. Obviously, hopefully you can celebrate it one last time. But and a bunch of guys who are no longer here, we're back. Isaiah Rodgers, as he mentioned, was back, and Rick Lovato was back, and CJ said he was coming. I didn't see any CJ pictures, so I don't know if he did end up coming. But anyway,
I saw a picture of him. Yeah, he was
all right. Yeah, he said it. He said he was coming, so I assumed he was, but I didn't see it. So it was cool to get a bunch of those guys back to celebrate what they accomplished. But boy, it's not purposeful by any stretch of the imagination. I think one of the strengths of the Philadelphia Eagles is that at their core, they want to win more than the vast majority of teams in this league. But if everything is the same from a monetary standpoint, everything's the same. And they still have the looming, everybody played the way they played. And they still have the looming big contract extensions coming up with the younger players, but they lost the Super Bowl. Does anybody think they're not trying to seize the moment? They're not trying to make a splash. They're not trying to trade for Myles Garrett early in the process or Trey Hendrickson now. Even if they can't get that done, to bring in a Von Miller, to bring in a Justin Simmons. Does anybody believe that? Because I don't. And I don't think it's purposeful at all. But I think that's what Nick Sirianni talks about, handling success. It's a bunch of ways. It's human nature to breathe a sigh of relief. We got it done.
Right.
It's human nature. You're battling human nature, which is maybe the toughest battle at all. So, and by the way, I don't even disagree with their plan.
Yeah, right. I agree. I agree with it for sure because I don't think running it back would have been the right solution either.
Well, you can't run it back. Number
Right.
one, and I'm not saying because it's not possible. There's just too much
Yeah, but you're
turnover.
saying they also didn't make any splash moves or
Yeah,
anything like that.
there are 12 free agents. Not one of them got more than $3.5 million, and even that's overblown. It's really $3 million. Does anybody believe that's the case if they lose that game?
Well, do you think the degree to which they won the game impacted those
Oh,
off-season
sure,
decisions? I mean, if
sure.
you think about it, John, it's a "what have you done for me lately" world. The Eagles crushed their final two opponents. You
They
know what I
did,
mean?
and that's the human nature aspect of
Right.
it. And if you want to go all the way back to 52, so everything stays the same, except they become more of a Buffalo team where they've made 3 Super Bowls, but they lost them all. And everything stays the same as far as the players' performance and things like that. They are tripping over themselves to take advantage of this window this season, tripping themselves. So again, it's human nature. It's not purposeful. I'm not trying to say they're not trying to win, but it's just exactly that. And it might be their biggest hurdle of this entire season. Not on the field, nothing to do, nebulous, intangible, so people don't like it. There's no stat. How do you fight human nature? How do you fight the human nature of satisfaction? Because they acted like a satisfied organization. And by the way, they should be. I don't dispute any of it. I don't dispute the business plan other than they're satisfied.
Yeah, but even if you're satisfied, you can make the right moves.
Yes.
I think I agree. I think they seem satisfied, but I don't know. Let's just run through what you said. If they lost that game and they did this, would you be saying these are the right moves, or would you be calling for more moves? Like, how would you view that?
Well, I wouldn't be upset if Myles Garrett was here. I wouldn't be upset if Trey Hendrickson was here. Would they be the right moves? Maybe not. Maybe not, because you're spending so much money, you're going to cost yourself in other areas. That's not my point. My point is not to say this is the way they should have done it. I'm saying it changes the way they act, and there's nothing you can do about it. Again, I go back all the way to 52. So if you're still 0-4, I mean, they are kicking and screaming and clawing to get a ring. That isn't going to be quite as ostentatious, but nonetheless, kicking and screaming and clawing. Now I get the sentiment that it's like, well, if we don't get one this year, we'll get one next year, or we'll get one 2 years down the road. We'll get another one. Just might not be this year. I don't know how anybody. I'm sure everybody will argue, but if you're being real with yourself, I don't know how anybody could argue. There's no doubt that they feel comfortable to say we can reboot this thing and act the way they act in this offseason. Look at last year with Saquon and Bryce Huff, even though Bryce Huff didn't work. Splash, splash, projected splash, money splash. Didn't work, but with Saquon it worked. But this year, your splashes are Azeez Ojulari and Adoree Jackson. Oh, we took 2 players away from the New York Giants, just like last year with Saquon. Yeah, I don't know how anybody could argue that fact. To me, it's obvious, but obviously, fans are fans. But
I can't say I'm as pessimistic about you as you sound right now about it, though, John. I hear what you're saying.
I don't even think it's
bad,
but see, that's why I think fans will be upset. And you use the word pessimistic, whatever. I don't think I'm being pessimistic. I said I agree with what they did. But if you're looking at it in a 1-year window, they didn't optimize everything to win for this season. Which, by the way, again, if I were the GM, I'd do the same thing. because it's about more than the moment. But I'm saying in the moment, which again, let me clarify, I don't agree with to just do things in the moment, because I want to get Jalen Carter done. I want to be in a position to, if Nolan Smith hits a home run this offseason, and if Quignon in 2 years continues to play well, if Cooper in 2 years continues to play well, I want to be in a position to get those guys under. So I agree with everything Howie Roseman said. All I'm saying is, if they didn't win, they'd be acting differently. And I don't know how anybody can argue that.
I think that's the nature of the beast. I mean, you always when you win, you're going to act different than when you lose. I think that's just kind of how it goes,
Yeah, but
it doesn't mean it can't
that's
have
human. I say that it's human nature.
Right.
Satisfaction. What Nick Sirianni's trying to fight against.
I don't know, man. I do see it a little different. I think partly the way they are required to act this way is because they've drafted and acquired so many good players in the last 4 years. I mean, they've never had a run of draft picks like this in the history of the franchise.
So,
and now you're set up with all these young guys who do
I
need
get it.
So,
but
and because they won it, here's where you're right. It certainly made it easier to not make a big splash move because they won. But that is the point. If they lost that game, which Eagles fans can't, they dominated. They don't want to think about them losing a game. If they lost that game, I think if everybody's being honest with themselves, they would not be happy with what went on this offseason. That's all I'm trying to say. Yeah, I just don't know what they could have done differently. I mean, the fact would be all the contracts are still coming up.
That's the part that they can manipulate. They chose to be disciplined. They actively chose, which again, I agree with, but it's a choice. If they really wanted Myles Garrett, and by the way, Cleveland never put him on the trade market. Andrew Berry was clear that we're not trading him. But they can get anybody they want if they really want to do it. They've already proven that. They chose to be disciplined. And they chose to be disciplined because they got two in the bank.
And has the way this is unfolded give you an inkling of something that you're foreshadowing, or what are you thinking? Because you brought it up Friday, and then you brought it up here to kick off training camp week. So there's obviously something that you're thinking, Johnny.
That's what I'm thinking. I just explained what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but you think
it might be the biggest hurdle to another Super Bowl championship this season. Being satisfied with the Super Bowl championship. That's why it's so difficult to win consecutive Super Bowls. That's why it's so impressive when people like Kansas City win consecutive Super Bowls, because you're fighting through that. Not that you can't. And most people don't even realize. By the way, people should pat me on the back if they're Eagles fans, because I'm sure Howie didn't even realize it. Maybe now he does. It's just, I called it insidious. It's just, you don't even know you're doing it until you frame it in how would I have acted if this? And there's no freaking way they would have acted the same way if they lost the Super Bowl.
I don't know what they would have done differently, but they might have had to make some big changes then to act differently, no?
Yeah, they would have had to do a bunch of different stuff to bring in players that they thought could get them over the hump, and not necessarily that it would even work. Everybody who wins goes through the same thing. And I don't know how you combat it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I don't think they had a bad approach, but I hear what you're saying. Let's get to some super chats. We got Jeff Kerr coming up. What up, Jeff? I got some good stuff to talk to Jeff Kerr about today. Looking forward to having him on the show. Prince, by the way, thank you all for being here in the chat. It's training camp week, everybody. So the season is upon us. All right. We got July 21st today. They report tomorrow, July 22nd. They're on the practice field Wednesday, July 23rd. And a reminder to everybody, for those listening on Birds 365, Wednesday and Thursday this week, our show will be in the evening. So they practice in the morning, John, especially on Wednesday. John has to get down there early. Their first media availability is 9:30 and 9:40 in the morning. The first day, there's credentials. There's all sorts of different things John has to do pre-show. So we will have Wednesday and Thursday will be night shows. Friday, we'll have our regular morning show. But I will always have some content for you in the morning at 8 a.m. every single day. So you can always check in, but it won't be a full 2-hour Birds 365, depending on when the Eagles practice. So I'll keep you guys posted on the schedule all throughout training camp. Prince, thank you, brother. What's up, everybody? Hit that like button for us. Prince says, J-Mac, in the last 2 Super Bowl runs, they didn't change the team. They brought back almost the same roster both times. They had to pivot like the offseason moves. They learned from their mistakes. I do think it's a clear, different approach this year coming off the Super Bowl than it was in 22 or 2017.
Oh, coming off the Super Bowl, yeah. They ran it back, and they probably shouldn't have the first time because they were an aging team. This time, they're not an aging team, and they went the other direction. They embraced the youth. I mean, I don't have I said it multiple. I don't have a problem with what they did at all. So I think people are going to conflate that I have a problem. I don't have a problem. I'm just acknowledging that they were disciplined because they felt they had the ability to be disciplined. And if they didn't win that game, which is hard to imagine since Kansas City didn't get over the 50-yard line for, 9 drives or whatever it was. If they didn't win that game, they would have had a different mentality. To me, it's pretty obvious, but I guess I'm not explaining it correct.
Well, no, you're explaining it correctly, but you're also saying you agree with the moves. And I think that's where some people are like, well, if you agree with them, then why is it an issue? Because it was the right move.
It's an issue because I don't care if they win. You guys care if they win. Like, it hurts them in the short term. Like, because their Super Bowl window is open, and they might even win it again. But did they optimize it? Probably not for one season. Did they optimize it for the long-term goal of sustained success? Yes. But that's long-term. That's not short-term. Most people don't give a shit about 2027 right now. Like, this sets them up better for 2026 and 2027 than it does for 2025. And ultimately, if they get one over the next 3 years, I think everybody's happy. But I think everybody wants to win this year. I don't think they optimized their Super Bowl window this year. But I don't care. I'd rather be set up for sustained success. So that's what I'm trying to point to. They didn't optimize the immediacy of where they are. And they did it to optimize a longer term arc of potential success. I agree with what they did, but it did not optimize this season, is my stance.
Rashid checks in. What's up, Rashid? Good morning, fellas. I think they're at the point where they can take a chance on potentially talented players after achieving success.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Only after achieving success, which they have done. And it is human nature to let out a sigh of relief and say, whew, we did it again. It's just human nature. Nothing wrong with it.
Part of it. And we'll see what happens. JD checking in. What's up, JD? We got the best fullback in free agency. What are you talking about, J-Mac? Happy ball is back, boys. JD, still fired up about Harrison Bryant. I love it.
Yeah, JD, I don't think he's playing fullback, dude. I don't know what world.
But I love the guy.
I don't know what world JD lives in, but I wish I could go there.
Here we go.
Sounds
fun. Gary's the guy who sent me to NASCAR yesterday. Dirty Air checking in. He told me yesterday he was going to send this in. Don't kill me, John. But Nakobe Dean said he plans on being ready for week 1.
By the way, why would I kill you? Nakobe's said that that's his goal. I'm just saying it's a very unlikely goal. Of course, Nakobe believes it.
Hypothetically, if he is, and assuming he misses camp or a chunk of it, does he start then still if he is ready to go? I think that's the real question.
If Nakobe Dean is cleared, he is the middle linebacker.
And there's no ramp up period on him like we talk about some of the younger
guys.
Well,
there might be. There might be a week or two, but no extensive. No, he's
an experienced player. So
yeah, he's very high, not only experienced, but very high IQ football player. Vic loves him. No, there's no, again, they're not, if he's cleared September 3rd, when's the opener? September 4th? If he's cleared September 3rd, no, I don't expect him to start on September 4th, but so there might be a small ramp up period just to knock some of the rust off, but no, he's not a guy who's going to sit to learn. Big trust him implicitly to the point he constantly said it a few times in the offseason that Jacoby's the middle linebacker.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's get to Jeff Kerr here. Got 2 more super chats real quick. Sorry, Jeff. Got a lot coming in. Alfredo says, if we don't win 2 more in 4 years, we'll be disappointing. That's a big stat. It's a high bar to set there.
Well, even the Eagles aren't going 4 years out. 3 years out, they're going. If they don't get 1 in 3 years, I think they would be disappointed in-house.
Killer Tomato says, is Noah Fant in the cards? I don't think so. He got released this weekend.
My God, they got 7 tight ends and 7
tight ends, but if they all stink after
Harrison Bryant is evidently an all-pro. No, they're not bringing in Noah Fant. No. It kills me with backups. Again, backups need to be role players. Just put together the 53 best players. Yeah, I know people want to, like, they got to play special teams. They got to do things. If Dallas Goedert got hurt, then you start talking about Noah Fant or somebody in that type of situation where you got to cobble something together.
Here's Prince. He says, we entered last season stating that the team would be prepared for a Super Bowl run this season. What are we talking about? LOL. This team could be better. I don't know did he mean could it be better?
I don't know. Yeah, it's tough to follow that one.
Entered last season. Prince, follow up and I'll get to it. Brando Shreds. What's up, Brando? On that 2018 team, Howie didn't make a mistake. They were an Alshon drop away from crushing the Rams and then the Pats. Foles' magic was in effect. Brando's trying to rewrite history, baby.
Yeah. Well, that would have been interesting if Alshon didn't drop the football, but you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, that doesn't account for the whole next game, though.
Yeah, it doesn't account for the rest of that game.
Yeah, that's true.
Never mind the whole next game. So, yeah, but fans are fans.
Good
fans
stuff. Final one here. We'll get to Jeff Curry. A little behind, but Nakobe started 3 races off this weekend for NASCAR along with Campbell. Yeah, I was there, Devin. If you missed the open of the show, I was actually there. I saw Big Dom. We saw Jahad Campbell, Nakobe Dean. It was an unbelievable event to watch, and it was cool to see those guys there. Devin, thanks for the super chat. Thanks everybody for the super chats. Got a ton of them today, and thanks everybody for being here as training camp kicks off this morning. Let's go to our main man, Jeff Curry.